Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, text 35. Bruhatsama tadha samnam Gayatri chandasamaham Masanam margasirshoham Rutunam kusumakaraha. Now Krishna says, among the hymns, there are various hymns that one can sing. I am the Bruhatsama. Bruhatsama tadha samnam. That Bruhatsama is typically sung to Lord Indra. So Krishna says, of the hymns, Samnam, I am the Bruhatsama. Gayatri Chandasamaham. Among the Chandas, among the poetry, I am Gayatri, the Gayatri mantra, the Gayatri hymn. Masanam Margaskirshoham. Among the masas, among the months, I am the month of Margasirsha, which is November to December, coming up. And Rutunam Kusumakaraha. Among all the seasons, I am the spring. I am the flower bearing spring. So, Bruhat Sama Tadha Samnam. Earlier, Krishna already explained that Vedanam Sama Vedosmi. That amongst all the Vedas, the Sama Veda is rich with beautiful songs played by various demigods. And out of these songs, there is one song called Brihat Sama, which has exquisite melody and is sung at midnight. And it is typically sung to Lord Indra because this hymn is chanted at the conclusion of auspicious Vedic ceremonies and praises Lord Krishna when he assumed the post of Indra during his Manvantara incarnation as Dharmasetu. At that time, Krishna himself assumed the post of Indra, and that hymn was used to glorify Krishna, which had an exquisite melody, and that is the Brihat Sama. Of course, we have no experience of these in this world where it is chanted, but it is regularly chanted in the higher planets. And Gayatri Chandasamaham. Chandas means the poetry or the meter rhyme. In Sanskrit, there are definite rules that regulate the poetry. The rhyme and meter are not written whimsically. Even you see Bhagavad Gita verses, Bhagavatam verses, they are done in a meter, and each line will have a particular number of syllables, and it should flow according to the meter. And any syllable which doesn't flow, any word doesn't flow according to the meter is a misfit. So there are these rules in Sanskrit. And amongst this regulated poetry, the Gayatri mantra is the most prominent. So the Gayatri mantra is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Of course, there are many Gayatri mantras. When one gets initiated, the Guru gives a particular Gayatri mantra in that particular sampradaya. Like in our sampradaya, in our Krishna consciousness movement, when we become duly initiated as a Brahmana, which we call second initiation. The first initiation is the Harinama initiation, where the Guru gives the Hare Krishna mantra to chant. And when one becomes a duly qualified Brahmana in mode of goodness, Then one is also given the Gayatri mantra. There are 7 Gayatri mantras that are given in our Sampradaya. So anybody who is initiated, we chant these mantras 3 times a day. So without going into, because we cannot reveal the mantra, only Guru has to reveal the mantra in our right ear, and then we chant the mantra every day. So then one may question, what is the difference between this Hare Krishna mantra and Gayatri mantra? Should I aspire to take Gayatri mantra? Should I stick to Hare Krishna mantra? So what we need to understand is that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the Mahamantra. It can be chanted universally by anybody and everybody. That is the special prerogative. That is the speciality of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The holy name of Krishna is God, that Krishna has invested that power. Namna Makari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivamidrishamiha Janinanuragaha. So it is said that Krishna has many, many names. Namna Akari Bahudha. And all of these names are as good as Krishna. Krishna has invested complete himself into these names, his powers. Nija Sarva Shaktihi Tatra Arpita. And to chant these names, there are no hard and fast rules. Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laments, even though Krishna has come fully in his holy name, and even though there are no hard and fast rules, anybody can chant, anytime they can chant, any situation they can chant. But still, I am not able to develop that attachment for the holy name. So he laments like this. So this Hare Krishna mantra has come to deliver everybody in this world, from the most fallen to the most qualified. This is a speciality invested in Hare Krishna mantra. Whereas you take Gayatri mantra, it is a Vedic mantra. Vedic mantra means starts with Om. Of course, Gayatri mantra, many times it is played openly and it is chanted openly, and in YouTube and many other places in our town, they would play in speakers. Even I've seen, you go to the theaters, they would play sometimes this Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, like that. It goes on. Of course, that is one kind of Gayatri mantra, Brahma Gayatri mantra. But typically, this mantra, any mantra which starts with Omkara, should be properly chanted according to particular, by a particular person, qualified person who is become Brahmana, who is identified as a Brahmana by the spiritual master, and therefore is initiated as such and is given that mantra. Because the Vedic mantras, they have restrictions. Hare Krishna mantra does not have restriction. The Vedic mantras have restrictions. Because it's just like, for example, to give an analogy, say you're working in a nuclear reactor and it gives huge amount of nuclear energy, isn't it? The potential is huge. But if you misuse it, what will happen? The adverse effect is also huge. It can cause so bad effect. So therefore, that nuclear reactor, very qualified people are only let inside after proper training. after proper recruiting, whether they have that ability, they have that qualification, they are trained. The access is restricted so much. Why? Because as much as there is high potential, there is also high danger. If you give this mantra to, if you give this knowledge, if you give that access to unqualified person, he can damage the whole thing. Like in Mahabharata, you see, Ashwadhama has invoked that Brahmastra, but he did not know how to retract it. See, it could, unless if yeah, unless Krishna was not there, it could have caused so much of damage. So this is the reason why the Vedic knowledge in earlier days, the ancient times, was given only to duly qualified Brahmanas who can chant the Vedic mantras properly, who can use the Vedic knowledge properly for constructive purposes. Otherwise, the Vedic mantras can be misused for destructive purposes. This is the reason why the gurus were very, very careful. Sometimes there is an agitation. Why only Brahmanas are given Vedic knowledge? Then we can also say why Harvard University is taking only highly qualified students. Why not open the admission to anybody and everybody? So there is a particular thing meant for particular kind of people. And anybody can become qualified. Nobody is saying you cannot become Brahmana. It is not by birth. Of course, in ancient times, anybody who is born in a Brahmana family typically was brought up as a Brahmana by training, and they were begotten with proper samskara during Garbhadana samskara. Before begetting the child, the husband and wife, they would perform a samskara called Garbhadana samskara. And as a result, the child who comes will have the same affinity as the family. The Brahmana couple will beget a Brahmana child because of that samskara that is done. A Kshatriya family will have Kshatriya child. A Vaishya will have Vaishya child, and a Sudra will have a Sudra child. And then further they are trained in that mentality and they become duly qualified Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Sudra. Of course, Sudra there is no training. So, but in earlier times it was like that. But now there is no Garbhadana Samskara. Who is doing Garbhadana Samskara before begetting their progeny? So nobody can be sure the person born in a Brahmana family is guaranteed to be Brahmana. He may have the affinity as a Kshatriya, and who was born in a Sudra family may have an affinity, inclination to be a Brahmana. Like all the Westerners, the hippies, so called hippies, when Prabhupada went to the West, they were behaving like Sudras. They were born into that kind of a sense gratificatory families. But Prabhupada found spark in them to be Brahmanas, to be God conscious, to be self controlled, austere, knowledge seeking, God obeying. These are the qualities of Brahmanas. And when he found those qualities, that spark, he fanned that spark. Just like you find a small spark, you fan it and it becomes big. And he duly identified them as Brahmanas. So nobody is barred from becoming a Brahmana. If your purpose in life is God consciousness, self realization, then you are intending to be Brahmana. You just need a training. And that's what Krishna consciousness movement provides. That's what Prabhupada provided. So there is the misconception like this. Oh, okay, only Brahmanas are given partiality, special education. special knowledge. No, anybody can become qualified, just like anybody can become qualified to be able to enter that nuclear reactor by going through that courses or education, preparing for the interviews, so on and so forth. So it is by qualification. So this is the difference. Gayatri mantra is a Vedic mantra, and Hare Krishna mantra, of course, is a Vedic mantra, but it has special powers invested by Krishna. Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. So it can be chanted by Apamaram Yo Vitatara. Apamaram means the Pamara. There is Pandita and then there is Pamara. Pamara means the ignorant. Patita means the fallen. Patita Pavana. The Nama is delivering the Patita, the fallen. So anybody can chant Hare Krishna mantra, but the Gayatri mantra is reserved for those who have become duly qualified Brahmanas. Can I go back to Godhead just by Hare Krishna mantra? Yes, absolutely. You need not become initiated as a Brahmana to go back to Godhead. But by following the instructions of the spiritual master and chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna mantra properly, one's mode of goodness becomes aroused. And one naturally want to serve more the Lord, serve the deity, chant the Vedic mantras, perform yagnas, and naturally they will progress and take the Gayatri mantra initiation. So further it is said about this Gayatri mantra that it is said in scriptures. Sometime one friend asked me, what is the meaning of this Gayatri mantra? So the meaning is Gayantam trayate yasmat Gayatri tvam tatah smruta. Gayantam trayate. By chanting, by singing this mantra, one is delivered from this material world. Gayantam trayate yasmat Gayatri tvam tatah smruta. One who chants the Gayatri mantra is gradually delivered from the material clutches. In other words, that which delivers, trayate means delivers. Like mantra, manaha trayate, one which delivers the mind of material engagement, material conditioning, material bondage. That is called mantra. Similarly, Gayatri, one which trayate, that which delivers by singing, delivers from material entanglement. That is called Gayatri. And this Gayatri mantra is nothing but it is elaboration of the Omkara. Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshu. The meaning of sound vibration Omkara is present in the Gayatri mantra. So, and then that Gayatri mantra is further explained in Srimad Bhagavatam as Chatushloki verses. There are 4 special verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Gayatri mantra is explained in those 4 Chatushloki verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that Chatushloki verses are further expanded by Vyasadeva and Shukadeva Goswami as these 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam that we now have. So much of content is packed in those 4 verses, which is further packed in that Gayatri, which is further packed in that Omkara. And of course, Hare Krishna mantra contains all of this. Anybody who chants Hare Krishna, naturally Krishna will reveal everything. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. So, there is no difference actually between Hare Krishna mantra and Omkara or Gayatri or Srimad Bhagavatam. One who is initiated, they take to also Omkara. Of course, it doesn't mean one who becomes Brahmana initiated stops chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is like, chanting Hare Krishna is like water to the fish. You cannot stop doing that. Even in the Goloka, the only thing they do is Hare Krishna chanting. Golokera Premadhana Harinam Sankirtana. So that is anyway there. But when one becomes qualified Brahmana, they take up additional eagerness to become more and more close to Krishna, and more they want to serve Krishna, serve the deity of Krishna as Brahmana. That is why they take up the Gayatri mantra, which is nothing but the expansion of Omkara. As Prabhupada explains in one of the purports of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the sound vibration Omkara is the root of Vedic knowledge. Omkara is known as Mahavakya or supreme sound. Whatever meaning is in the supreme sound Omkara is further understood in the Gayatri mantra. Again, this same meaning is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the four shlokas known as Chatushloki. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead informed Lord Brahma about the purport of the Chatushloki. Again, Lord Brahma explained this to Narada Muni, and Narada Muni explained it to Srila Vyasadeva. This is the Parampara system, the disciplic succession. The import of Vedic knowledge, the original Pranava, has been explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in other words, why we focus so much on studying Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Because it is Omkara, it is Gayatri Mantra, it is the Chatushloki, that original knowledge that Krishna revealed to Lord Brahma. Originally, Krishna revealed this Kama Gayatri Mantra. This is one of the seven, as I said, in our Sampradaya, we chant seven Gayatri Mantras. The seventh one, the pinnacle mantra, is the Kama Gayatri Mantra. And that mantra, Krishna revealed through his flute vibration to Lord Brahma. And that Kama Gayatri mantra and Krishna, there is no difference. It contains 24 and a half syllables. And so that Krishna revealed it to Lord Brahma, and Brahma understood it, and Brahma further, it is a, Prabhupada explains here, the Gayatri, mother of the Vedas, having been manifested by the divine sound of Sri Krishna's flute, entered the lotus mouth of Brahma, the self-born, through his 8 ear holes. Brahma has 4 heads, so 8 ear holes. So it has entered from Krishna's flute and entered the lotus mouth through the ear holes. Thus, the lotus born Brahma received the Gayatri mantra, which had sprung from the song of Sri Krishna's flute. In this way, he attained twice born status. Twice born means when one is initiated by the spiritual master through the Gayatri mantra, he becomes twice born. He gets the second birth. The first birth is through mother and father. The second birth is through the spiritual master. That is our spiritual birth. Through the spiritual master and the Vedic knowledge. So he became twice born, Brahma, having been initiated by the supreme primal preceptor Godhead himself. Enlightened by the recollection of that Gayatri, which embodies the three Vedas, Brahma became acquainted with the expanse of the ocean of truth. Then he worshipped Sri Krishna, the essence of all the Vedas, with a hymn. So this is the, of course, there are so many details about Gayatri Mantra. I'm just keeping it short. Gayatri Chandasamaham. And then Masanam Marga Sirshoham. Among the months of November and December are considered the best of all months. Prabhupada says, because in India, grains are collected from the fields at this time and people become very happy. And during this month, these it is said in Krishna Lila, during Krishna's pastimes, the the young daughters of these cowherds, the young gopis, and they would take one another's hands, and they would sing Krishna's transcendental qualities, and they would go to Yamuna to bathe, and desiring to obtain Krishna as their husband, they would then worship the goddess Katyayani with incense, flowers, and other items. And one day, the young gopis, they left their garments on the shore, and as usual began playing in the water while chanting Krishna's activities. Suddenly, Krishna himself came there, took away all the garments, and climbed a nearby Kadamba tree, and he started to tease the gopis. And then he said, "You come to the shore and take back your clothes." And as we know, these gopis were very shy, and they could not. And finally, they had to come and take the clothes. And Krishna, being pleased with their attitude of service, he gave the clothes back. So this is the pastime that happened in this month. And one should understand that Krishna was merely satisfying their desire, because their desire is they should get Krishna as their husband. They were desiring like that to Katyayani. And there are thousands of these gopis, hundreds and thousands. How can that be possible? So Krishna, he satisfied their desire like that, because only husband can see the wife like that. So these pastimes have to be understood properly. That is why Prabhupada has written the Krishna book, because unless we understand this in the proper perspective, we might misunderstand the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis as mundane. It is of the highest transcendental quality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took so much relish in discussing and studying the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis. So there is no tinge of mundane thing in this. The gopis are actually internal potency of Krishna. They are not different from Krishna. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabhirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabhihi Goloka Eva Nivasati Akhilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the gopis are Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Tabhirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabihi. Nijarupataya Kalabihi. They are parts and parcels of Krishna's pleasure potency. They are expansions of his pleasure potency. They are meant for his pleasure. That is, they are Krishna's eternally, meant for his enjoyment. If we try to separate them, then we are the offenders, not Krishna. So all this tattva we have to understand properly by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and reading his books. Then we get the proper perspective. And finally, Rutunam Kusumakaraha. So Prabhupada says in the purport, of course, spring Kusumakaraha is a season universally liked because it is neither too hot nor too cold. And the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. In spring, there are also many ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastimes. Therefore, this is considered to be the most joyful of all seasons. And it is a representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Babu.
Hare Krishna.
If Margashirsh is Krishna and we say that Kartik is Krishna's favorite month, how do we how do we try to please Krishna in all the ways? Means one way is have Kartik also and do the duties in Kartik, and maybe there are some other duties of Margashis, but there's always a conflict, right? It is favorite and this is Krishna. I mean, how do you try to make do with yourself? Just I hope you understand my question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Kartik is special because of Radharani. That is dear to Radharani. Therefore, it is dear to Krishna. So
Oh, okay.
that is a slight difference.
And why is Karthik special to Radharani?
I have to dig into a little more. I don't want to say incorrectly, but I
Okay,
will
okay.
find out more and tell you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, there's one more question. What is the benefit of Gayatri Mantra? As I said, to repeat what Prabhupada had said here, the Gayatri, this mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people, and when one attains success in chanting it, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. So, in other words, one can go back to Godhead, one can attain the same nature as the Lord, Shuddha Sattva, by chanting this mantra properly. As I said, the effect is same as chanting Hare Krishna mantra. There is no difference. But this is an additional mantra taken up by those who are qualified as Brahmanas to do more service to Krishna by deity worship and chanting Vedic hymns and those kind of things. So the benefit is the same as properly chanting Hare Krishna mantra. I hope that clarifies. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki